page number 136. For example, it seemed like a magician showing the magic that he himself is trying to put him in the prison. The magician is well aware that the prison is made from his magic, so he doesn't have the fear or agitation. The magician has built the prison with his magic, and then he doesn't think that he is stuck in the prison. Why is it so? Because that's like an illusion, and he knows that it's going to disappear soon, and that it's also a lie. So he doesn't have the fear that, oh, I am stuck in the prison, and so I'm going to go through the difficult time. So Bodhisattva going through the samsara, why don't they have fear while they go through the samsara? While they go through the samsara, this world is like an illusionary world that has been formed from your karma. And just like a dream, this is something that's going to disappear very soon. So if there's a suffering that doesn't change and lasts forever, then this is going to be a very scary existence. For example, if you have sickness, if you have a disease, and if the pain never disappears, and there's no need for us to go to the hospital, we have to be stuck inside the pain, and then we have to live on. But if that doesn't have its own property, and if that has been formed because of the relations, and one day if the conditions and also if the conditions which has developed that disappears, then it disappears. So there's no need for us to have the fear. Why are bodhisattvas not afraid even when they go to hell or when they go through the samsara? It's almost that because for them it seems like the situation when you are watching a movie. You understand what this means. So, but when we look at it at the opposite side, we believe that this body is actually us, and all the things that surrounds us or is related to us, we believe that that's us. And if we have attachments, then we have a great fear of disappearing. And once they disappear, you're also again scared. And because of that, but then why does that happen? You're not able to see it as an illusion, but you look at it as something that's real. Here, when we say it is actual, it is having the form which doesn't change. It's actually the misunderstanding that you believe something exists. Well, even this body, we believe that this really does exist, and so for when it changes, when it disappears and changes, we have our own fear, and that's what the normal people believe on. And also, most of the people nowadays, they still believe that that's true. But as a bodhisattva, while going through the six samsaras, if they have no fear, and the Buddha, until they were practicing the bodhisattva way, the Buddha has been the source of no fear. And why is that so? Because this is like an illusion which doesn't have its form. It's almost like a magician. It's almost like the magician having no fear for the illusionary thing that he has created. Why is that so? Because he knows that that's the magic. The movie directors, when they see the movie that they have made, do you think they would be afraid? That's why I've said the movie directors only if they're excellent at cheating or lying, they would be successful. Even the video or even the even how the movie is organized, well, it's all lie, it's all illusions. But since it's made like in reality, people cry and people sob over it. So even the movie director is not something that I should be. But as for the karma, it is not something that's very flattering. That's what I thought. Well, nowadays they're already talented people, so the life right now, how can we live our life without fear? That's because this is like dream and this is like an illusion, and this doesn't have a form, just like a shadow, but it just floats. And when the time and space move, because it doesn't have a form, it disappears and it goes back to the blank space where it had been. So whether it is the suffering or whether it is a joy, they're all going to disappear. They're going to disappear. So we don't have to build our attachments on it, at it, or or maybe because of our attachments, we have our own suffering. So when we say we are cultivating vipassana, it means we are actually observing in the forms of samatha. So when we are making an observation, we also realize that through the proper observation, the suffering disappears. This is a method of how we resolve this issue. And also when our body disappears, the body that we so-call as ours, or even the thought that we so-called as mine disappears, whether due to old age or whatever reason it is, it's going to disappear one time. It's going to go. So, well, when we get hurt, we have pain. And even this simple finger or the toe, all the things that we thought were ours, they're just things that has been connected due to our relations. But if you look at it thinking that it doesn't really exist, then them disappearing, what kind of big significance does it have? Whether it disappears or whether it remains, it doesn't have so much meaning. Eventually, everything is going to go back to its empty space. Likewise, Buddha is looking at all sentient beings who are under the illusion, because he knows that the property of them is the voidness. He have no attachments for it, and all the sentient beings who are surrounded, he takes care of them with love and also affection. Well, it is actually that nothing new is being developed and comes out. But when you're sleeping, when you have a miserable dream, you open your eyes. And when you open your eyes, your dream disappears. It's just like that. But the teachings of Buddha is you don't know that the things that you're doing is actually the dream. So it's just like you don't know that you're dreaming. Why is it a dream? Because it doesn't have its own form. It just happened because of the relations. Even the dreams are formed because of its occurring relations. And because of that, wake up from your dream. It's the same. It has the same connotations as gain enlightenment. You who is holding on to the thing which doesn't have a form, and by looking at the thing disappearing which doesn't have its own true form, you have your own fears and agitations, and so gain or develop your attachments from it. Going to heaven or going to the place where that also means you need to wake up from your dream. If you have a miserable dream and if you wake up, then instantly the suffering disappears. Likewise, you have to wake up from your attachment, and once you get up from your dream, then everything disappears. But we don't want to wake up from that dream, because we believe that the dream itself is us. So a person like Iwang-soo, you know the novel. He has written a very good novel. It's a very good novel. About the human life and about the human beings. It's not that there is a special value to it. And so Buddha has spoken about the methods to get up from your dream. But this is just like the princess in the Sleeping Beauty. But you have eaten the apple and you don't really get up from your dream well. Is it the seven dwarfs? And then we still have attachment for things which doesn't have its form. And one day it disappears from in front of my eyes, and you fear that you yourself are also going to disappear just like that, and you have your own fears. Where there are just things that's going to disappear. There will be nothing for them to stay. There is nothing to stay. Well, even if I talk about this, you still think of your son. Even if I talk about this every day, wake up from your dream, that's your dream. But what do you say? But still, you continue to do that. Well, I can never give up. Well, our Dale, the cat. Well, the cat is not even 1 year old. It's just like the adolescent boy, goes up the trees but he cannot come down. When he climbs up, I don't know why he went up, maybe chasing after the bird, but cannot come down. It seems like he spent 4 days on the tree. Even no matter how much I looked for him, he was not there. And also because he came when he was very young, he has not even done the practice of like roaring or crying. So he has very like a very soft sound, and he was just seems like he was very scared, and so went to like tree that's as tall as a 6-story building, and was stuck there and would not even come down. So we put the net below, and where the stick was so long and it was so heavy that even if we tried to shake it by climbing on the mountain or on the tree, it was not really worth like trying the efforts. And And seems like he was holding on to the tree so much that later we found out that his nails were even crooked. And then I realized it's just like our other human beings. You hold on to the money and you grind your teeth. And where was it? Where was it? The Yu Sung-min and the head of the office, when they had argument, he has spasms. The person cannot stay in the politics because he's so petty. That's also very futile. And so let's divide it by 3 raised to 3. And didn't he know then? Well, if he didn't even have that kind of overview, then he's not even a politician. Well, this is very cool. We cut down the tallest bamboo here. We put an Y in front, and we put the net down. You know, if the cats fall on the net, they can survive. And we pushed it, and then the cat was holding on to the tip of the stick and fell off. When the cat was falling off, the cat jumped. But then he was so scared and he ran away to the room. And so I thought he ran away when he sees people. But then when he came into the room, when I said, "Hello," he said, "When did I do?" His eyes were perfectly fine. The outcome, it happened a bit later. Nowadays he's a little more matured. Well, when the cat jumped down, it occurred to me, he has to let it go. Then only he can survive. He cannot let it go until the end. When we ask him to let it go, he's like, how? How? It only remains verbally. When we ask you to let go of your greediness, you say, "I have no greediness." You fear that you have no greediness because you are not aware. But if you look at it on the other side, if we ask, "Are you Buddha?" then they also ask, "Is this Buddha?" You need to have no greediness to become Buddha. It's a lie. It's just that you are ignorant and you're not aware what is greediness. You live your life surrounded by greediness. Well, even to the cat, we ask them to let it go. Those things which are actually pulling you, you should actually let them go. Well, he had his spasms, cramps. If he had high blood pressure, he could have died. You shouldn't live your life like that. Even the things that makes us suffer, or even the things that disturbs us, well, we are asking you to forgive. If you cannot forgive, it only causes anger to you. Because a person cheated on you, each time you see the person, you get angry. But the person is driving the car around in a very leisure manner, and the person is living a good life. It's only you who is suffering. So you have to let go of your affection and also attachment. But you also have to realize that if you only crave for that, there will be no happiness. Same as like if you're drinking the seawater to quench your thirst, the more you drink, you will die sooner. It's not difficult to understand Buddhism, but it's difficult to put it to practice. But understanding Buddhism, for me, I think it's a very simple question. It's just that you have no intention of accepting it. Well, it's just like if someone asks me to trust on something that hasn't been proven, I cannot trust it. But this cause and effect theory has already been proven. Why can't you trust something that has been proven? If it's correct as per the logic, if it's correct as per the theory, and also as per the understanding, then why can't you let it go or let it believe? Where the most difficult thing for me is if you believe or if you pray. One monk came and was praying. He said, like, he was praying, and because of his blessings, it came true. In terms of discussing about the cause and the effect theory, it is something that is acceptable or understandable. It is not something that is possible to understand. It's like you have planted the red beans, but you harvested the black beans. Well, how is it possible? For me, that's the most difficult thing. I cannot believe it. Well, ask them to make me believe it. If I have planted the beans and if I pray to Avalokiteshvara and if she has turned it to the right bean, prove it to me. How is it possible? Even if my IQ is 80, I will try my best to understand. The IQ, the religious IQ, it's even less than 70. It's even worse than the dogs. The understanding level. So yesterday when he was talking about the blessing and how it came true because of that, he said because of something he has achieved the other one, and well, it's right to say that because you had an aspiration to help all sentient beings, so it came true, but where in Earth does something like that exist? It's not even beneficial, and you're just committing sins between them. The believer who does that, by going there, it's causing sin because of her foolish thought, and the monk he is also committing sin because he's also participating. But then so both of them go to hell, and they say, but what can we do? That's what they want to do. It all starts from our fear. In order to be control of our fear, it happens. But if there is no fear, then where is a reason for us to do it? There's no reason for us to do that. So it is easiest to believe in Buddha's teaching because he says 1 + 1 is 2. Sometimes by praying, if 1 + 1 becomes 5, or sometimes it becomes 100, if that is so, then I wouldn't believe in Buddhism. I wouldn't believe in such a Buddhism, and I would speak straight out to get rid of all that false beliefs. That is not a happiness. I heard that one Korean series is very popular. The Descendants of the Sun. I heard that it is very popular, so I saw is a I saw is PR, and I thought it should be very popular because both of them they look good. Well, but looking at the popular Korean series, will my life change? So if you look at it in detail, it's really like a shadow and it's really like an illusion. And looking at them, even when we have fear and even this suffering, this is an illusionary result of what I have done or of the things that I have committed in previous or before in the past. You need tolerance and time to tolerate them. If time goes, then they will also pass. Even the good things in our everyday common life, that's also like an illusion. When the time goes, even that will pass by, even all of you. Well, even if you don't tell me, I know all of you look pretty back in your high school days. Although you look like the soybean, the chunk. When you were wearing the high school the uniform back in those days, you would look pretty. Well, it seems like you don't agree. If you were ugly, then I cannot help you. So, what is the great compassion of Buddha? That if you have not awakened from your dream, if you are wandering and if you are sweating in your dream, and even if they try to wake you up, you don't wake up, and it is the affectionate emotion for that. So Buddha's teaching method is the medicine to awaken from your dream. It is a medicine to awaken your dream. Well, when the husband came and said, well, if you do this, you earn money, and if the husband says this and that, only the good things, then you tell him that awaken from your dream, you have already lost quite a lot of money. Where the comedian Ibon, he has already went bankrupt for so many times, and so his wife, Bang Mi-sung, all the time she says, wake up from your dream. Just like that, we have so many things that we misunderstand. We are not able to see the reality, and most of the time we misunderstand. And by misunderstanding, we also believe that they will last forever. But then if you listen to it carefully, it seems like it is not something that we need to be misunderstood, because we knew that well, even before that, it is not eternal. So even at the time when you're marrying, they say you're marrying, you're promising for the next 100 years. Well, that's very elongated. So maybe next time when I go to when I go to the wedding, maybe I should say not 100 years, or maybe for 50 years. Well, when I went for one wedding, and when I was supposed to give blessing, that live until your black hair becomes like the roots of the leek, I realized the person already had the hair that was like a leek. Then what am I supposed to do? So inside I just left and let it go. But when you look at it, the promise for 100 years, or even the fake ones, when you change, it looks like fake. It's like a fake contract. Well, even in reality, you're not carrying on your marriage because of the promise, isn't it? You're not living your life. You're not living because of the promises that you made at your wedding. So it's all a fake lie. It's all fake contract. Although you have signed, it is also the fake. It is also fake, and so you also realize even the weddings are fakes. Even the weddings are lies. Since it is a lie, even after your marriage, when you come back from Jeju Island, you sit on separate airplanes. You went together, but when you come in separate places. And since it is also a lie, you also separate. Where someone has said, where because after living for 10 to 20 years, even when you want to divorce, you just live together. After living for 10 to 20 years, even if you want to say goodbye, you just tolerate and you live. And after 30 years, you have no choice. And about 40 years later, you leave for the sake of money. Well, in Japan, I heard that when they retire, they share the retirement pension and they have their divorce. Well, at the time of their marriage, everyone just makes a promise, and they are all fake promises. Maybe it's better to say, let's just live until our relationships last. Likewise, you have to get used to means like offerings with the sense of great compassion and means towards the bodhisattva. Where does the borderline, where the afflictions end? It comes from the voidness. Everything doesn't have its form, and everything goes through change. And likewise, there's nothing that I need to have my attachments or affections for. And from the thoughts, the sense of voidness will arise. It begins from the voidness. And that's why, but still, the experience of voidness, it comes to you at the borderline of the voidness, when the voidness ends. But when you look at the others suffering from their dream, and also your realization, and also your sympathy for the people who has suffering, we say that is the compassion. And so you have to lead them so that they will awaken from their dream. And that we say that's the way to bodhisattva. And the method, we say they are the means. And those means, the methods that lead, it is the 6 parameters. So here, the voidness and the great compassion, with them, although we reach to the incomparable enlightenment, even after then, even if you have become Buddha, you have to. It is not the 6 parameter practice anymore, but then at the time you will naturally be enacting the 6 parameters as the means to save all others. You have to practice Vanmanta and Vipassana as much as you can in order to gain the enlightenment of Bodhisattva. In order to enlighten all sentient beings, you have to practice Samatha and Vipassana religiously. This is no longer just hard studies, but this is the added effort. You have to push it onto the afflictions, and you actually have to cut down or break the afflictions and enter into this part with samatha and vipassana. And also, when you have the samatha with the proper perception as its basis, when you're observing all borderlines, you have to double check the voidness for sure. When you are making an observation to the object, if you have a little bit of attachment, or if you have even little sense of like and dislike, then the afflictions or agonies will not end. You have to know that they don't have the natural properties, and you have to foresee that it's very void, it's very futile. Even as a habit, if you just make a little observation, you will know that it doesn't last, and you will just let it go. So, although he was saying in Pranya Paramita, he said even the five skandhas doesn't have its true nature. What is the need of talking about others? Even the body forms, it doesn't have its true natures. What is the need of talking about even others? The human ourselves that we value most preciously, the five skandhas, is it has been formed with the gathering of five skandhas, but it doesn't have its own true nature. And if you accept that it is not so, then it's not even need to mention. There's no even need to mention. But well, all the powers or money that we value in our everyday life, there is no need even to mention about it. Talk about anything or bring up to anything that has the nature that doesn't change. So that's why only with the accumulation of virtues your afflictions wouldn't stop. So that's why through samatha and vipassana you have to practice, and that too, if you look at them separately, the samatha becomes the prior practice, and the vipassana comes later. And in order to practice or cultivate the vipassana, you have to have samatha. And so through samatha, well, with a thought that moves around or fluctuates, you cannot have the vipassana. Why is it so? Because if your heart moves to this side, then you will see the object as something different, and vice versa. So looking at it from different directions, that is, they're looking at it with you as a center, with your opinion as a center. So it becomes your agony of your like and dislike. Then, with the mind that changes, you are not able to see the reality, and because of that, you need the samatha that has only one thought. You need the samatha that is concentrated. So that's why you need the concentrated samatha. And also, when samatha is cultivated, you have to make an observation of the object. Then you realize that they don't have the form, and everything changes, and everything comes and goes with the relations. And so even if you want to provide sense of eternity, you will not be able to provide anything. So even if you cry over or have the affections or have your attachments there is no need to even do it. It applies the same for everything. We just live together because of our so close correlated relations. Even your husband or even your children that you value the closest, it also you're just living with them because of the relations. Well, it's just to the extent that when you die, they'll take care of the dead body. As it has been spoken about the merits of the bodhisattvas who work for the benefit of all sentient beings, you have to get used to their efforts and also the ways of them trying to save our life. Where here the basis is they are trying to do, the bodhisattvas are trying to do things that benefits us. And here the benefit is awakening us from the dream that we are dreaming right now, and that knowing that it causes us the suffering, so it enables us to, or help us, or supports us to wake up from this dream, which we value as a reality. And because we wake up, it benefits us. Because we awaken from the borderline of greediness, it helps us. Because we wake up from the desire or attachments, it benefits us. There's no other thing that could benefit us other than this. What other thing can benefit us or give us the benefit? Well, letting things go, it's not easy as it sounds. But when you let it go, when you let it aside, well, even if you put down a little tweak like this, it also makes it lighter. But we let go of useless things, but we don't really let go the real valuable things. Likewise, if you get used to wisdom, if you get used to the compassion and also the means, then you'll find a lot of comfort. If you do your practice with the awakened mind, well, I think like this. When we say it's difficult, saying that it's difficult, we are talking about something that we are not used to, but it doesn't apply for something that itself is difficult. Well, it's actually, when you are used to something, it's actually easy. So last time, when I had to attend the live for the Buddhist television, in the beginning, I have to go early and put some makeup. I have to apply some powder. I had to apply some powder, but there was no time to apply the cosmetics. And also, the other speaker was late, and so he said, "You have done it every day, so all the time, so do it yourself." But it was very difficult. Well, I'm seeing the opposite thing as the mirror. The reflection is the opposite side. Well, my right eye is over there is the left eye. So in reality, it's actually the opposite. But funnily, you also draw this well, and well, before my eyelash, it poked my eyes, and taking it out was very difficult. But how do you apply the the false eyelashes? For me, that's a very difficult thing. But when I see people who are doing it every day, it seems like they are doing a great job. And that too, if it's there. Well, when we have little thing even on our eyes, we feel very disturbed. But how do you manage to live with that? Well, if you get used to it, it could be not too bad. But that too, there is the notion that if you get used to it. So I spoke about this in the prison. If you get used to stealing, then for the thief, it gets very easy to steal. And since it's easy, they keep stealing. Well, didn't I say? he was a specialist. He was a specialist in opening the locks, and he said he doesn't need anything, even the very best of locks. You just need some thin wire, then you can open everything. How do you open? That's why he said he's the specialist. He said, that's why I'm the specialist. And I was out of my words. So, and he said, safe. It's even worse. You just need the wire, and you also need the stethoscope. Well, you can hear inside with the stethoscope. So he said it just takes like 3 minutes. So just because you have money inside the safe, if you feel safe, well, if it's as per the relation, then they would take everything. Well, sometimes the thieves, they take it out by opening, but the biggest thief is your husband and your sons. So now they say it's digital, and when I asked how do you know, and he said it's even easier. If you just use hammer, then you can break it. If you hit it with the hammer, then it breaks off, thinking it got itself wrong. And I was out of my words. Well, for us, the keys are very difficult. Sometimes even the door to my room, when I have 3 keys, I have to try all 3 keys. And sometimes it doesn't work because I try it opposite way. And then I again realize I am not really good with keys, so I should just leave it open. But without the doors, it's too windy, so maybe I should leave the doors open. And so he said, I told him that he would earn a lot of money with being working as someone with as a locksmith, and he said rather than that, when he opens the door without the owners knowing, he feels delighted. He feels really intense happiness. He said, and it's so interesting. Well, even the people who does the voice fishing, for them, it's interesting. That's why I guess they do it. So easy and not easy is whether you have the habit or not. So if you are used to it, it's a very easy thing. So that's why even following the path of Bodhisattva, I don't think it's something special. If you do it like that, then it's a very easy thing. It's a very easy act. But I always say, is it easier to give to others or is it easier to steal? Don't lie to me. Don't have the difference between your thoughts and your behavior. In reality, do you think giving is easier or someone who is selling, someone who is working in the stores, he got it for $1, but he's selling for $2, then he's lying. Is that easy, or is it easier to bring $1 and give it for 50 cents? Which is easier? Oh, that's beyond words. That's why it's difficult. Why is it so? You're cooking and you're selling, and when the beggars come to you and when they ask for food, Do you think it's easier to make the beggar sit at the very best seat and give them food? Or is it easier to give food to someone who pays money? Then why are you lying? In speech, you say, oh, how can I steal? But then we steal a lot of money from our husbands and use it. And it's not easy to give that money. With the money that I have earned, as much as stealing, it's not easy. Have you used money like that? No? Well, when we study in detail, when you are giving to others, when we want to give to someone who really needs it as in the amount that they really need, we feel that it's very difficult, but in the opposite way, it was easy for us to use for ourselves. Even for you, it's easy for us to buy the clothes for ourselves, but we have not really spent money or efforts buying clothes for someone else. Although we are trying to do so, it is not easy because we cannot even find that kind of people because of our lack of observation power. Because we only look for people that who benefits us, so it's not easy to find such people. And once we see what kind of thoughts that we have is, well, the person is lazy, that's why the person has life like that, we build up our own defense. And that's why something called a habit. Depending on the habit, if it becomes habitual, it's easy, but if it doesn't become habitual, it's difficult. To us, when we are eating, when we go to eat Western food, it's very difficult. They give us the fork, and also they give us the knife, and so if you use the right hand to cut, then you need to eat with the left hand, and the vice versa. And so I'm also not left-handed, and so I'm not really good at holding with the right hand. And when I try to do the opposite, well, even eating is not very comfortable. And then you ask for a chopstick. Because for me, chopstick is the easiest. And also, when you ask for chopstick at the Western dining place, they say it's not a good manner. And so we go there and we ask for kimchi. Well, it's fortunate that you're not looking for soybean paste soup. So we do as it's easy for us, but that's the problem of habits. So even the practice of bodhisattva, you have to make the practice of 6 paramitas as your habit. Once you make it habitual, you will not find anything that's easier or simpler than enacting the 6 paramitas. When you steal, for example, when you sell $1 stuff for $2, on one side you could say, I have earned money, but on the other side, if the person is a little human, after the person leaves, you could also have doubts that, oh, have I have I earned too much money from that person? So even the practice of bodhisattva itself, or going through the samsara, if it becomes habitual, it's a very easy thing. So that's why we ask you to continue to do so. But when we ask you to do and some bodhisattvas, they even gave up their life for this, but But you believe that how can I do that? I'm so busy earning my own bread and living my own life. They have to earn their own bread and I have to earn my own bread. How is it okay if you say I am you and you are me? So that's why the practice is also referring to the changing of our habits. It's a way forwards to the karma of bodhisattva. With the enlightenment of non-abiding of bodhisattva and also the bodhisattva's great heart, and also you have to make yourself into habits with the bodhisattvas for different behaviors. That's the teaching of bodhisattva. Well, I live very simple and very easy life, and for my greatness, we just live up to it. It makes us survive. It helps us survive, and that too we are not surviving for my sake, but for the good of all sentient beings. I need to survive just to help all other sentient beings. Just live your life up to that extent, and not beyond this. We have to live our life like that. Well, we have to think in detail from all times. Well, born rich or being born in the heaven, or well, a camel has two humps. It's even difficult than the camel walking through the hole of the needle. Well, now I understand in such a depth. Why? When you say you have become rich, it's all like this. You have not contributed, but although you have not contributed, well, if I have like 100 millions, and if I've died at the time of my death, you cannot transfer to the bank in the hell. If it's possible to transfer, then even in the hell, with the money that you have earned in your human life, you could have lived. But it seems like the transfer is not possible. We have never heard of anyone until today who has transferred the earnings. Everyone leaves behind. And when everyone leaves behind, what happens is this person, our heart goes to the karma that's very, very stingy. It stops from here, and everyone else shares this. And I proceed with the karma that is very stingy. So the next life, the price that you have to pay for what you have left is really, really, really huge. Well, I cannot open the door to fortune, to the merits, to the virtue. So if you are generous to a lot of people when you are alive, then my karma it already opens the door for the betterment or luck of all many sentient beings. So the method to transfer to the next life is changing our karma right now to something like that, to contribution, and that is the automatic transfer. If I do so, then it automatically transfers. And in your next life, well, material moves as for the movement of the heart. And so, if the door to the luck is open, then with the mind, the money and also the money and other things are bound to follow. Well, although I teach you even the account number of automatic transfer, you don't follow. Well, although I teach you even the methods, you close the doors and you die. I have even taught them the number, but until the death they hold on to it and they die closing the door. If you follow Buddhist teaching, then it's not as difficult as the camel going through the needle hole, but it's even easier than going through the highway with 4 lanes. We have to open the door to our happiness. And because of that, if your husband is stingy, and if the wife is, because the husband doesn't give money at all, she will spread it and she will try to spread it and make an offering. Then in the next life, she will be living a contented life, but he will be starving. And also in the next life, they would also have met the family who is also very stingy. Then with the person who is so poor and who is so poor, then even the marriage, it doesn't work out well. On one side, they could be opposing the marriage, and then they would flee to get married. And the people like that, it happens because of things like that. They met because of the relation that they had from the previous life, and on one side they have accumulated great virtue, and the other side was not so. So when they meet in the next life, it doesn't work out. And also, if the husband becomes the dog, and if the wife is the owner of the dog of the house, the rich house, then the owner of the dog doesn't even give food to the dog, well, saying you didn't even give me pocket money when I was young, in the previous life too. And then the dog cannot even prostrate or make complaints, but the dog would starve. We're going through the samsara and going through the next life and the life after. Sometimes your grandmothers are born as your daughter. Most of the time, the relatives and the cousins, they are born together. It's more like 70 to 80% possibility. Because they're so close relations, they share so close relationship, it happens. So you have to practice the way to Bodhisattva until you get used to it. That's why when you make an offering to Buddha, the 7 offerings, you have to do it just like you're so used to it. But for us, it doesn't work out well. So on the Buddha's birthday, when we ask you to offer this way, you offer in some other way, and you also say, well, I'm not going to do it. And that's only because you're not used to it. Because we are not used to make an offering to Bodhisattva, we also have so many unlucky or to say the virtueless fate. But when we go and buy for ourselves, we buy in abundance for us. We make some comments whether it's expensive or cheap, or whether it's fresh or it's not fresh. But when we ask you to make an offering to your teacher, for you it doesn't become habitual. And it's almost like the end of what you have done before, and the good thoughts, they disappear, and because you only have very not very productive thoughts remaining, which is like habitual on the birthdays. And I don't know if it's also said by your superstitious leaders, but you put like some little red beans and they just put it over here and they run away, they go off. And then I think, well, it should have been birthday of someone. That too, if you're not used to it, you cannot do it. Even making an offering, you have to get used to it like your habit. And if you can do that, then it also provides you relation to meet your teacher and also provides you the relation for your practice. But because we are not used to it all the time, such doors, they do not open well and they keep closing on us. Before, well, even when you go to get some food from others, Cholanamdo's beggars, they eat well because they have their sense of rhythm. The song is very rhythmical, and so the aunts, they say maybe we should give you some more food. And they also make an offering that, oh, I hope you live long without sickness. Well, even if they're beggars, the Cholas people, they eat very well, and Gyeongsang people, they cannot eat well because they say, give some. Why are you doing that? Are you going to give it or not? I told you to give it to me. That's how they speak. It's almost like you're complaining, or in Chola's Shinan, the beggars, they sing very well. And after a song, they even have their kind of outro, and they also make a great like a sayings of offering. First, they say the beggar who came last year, I didn't even die and I came back, and they say, hello, I'm here. And when they go inside the door, they dance to enter. They go in singing. Aunt or the owner, the lady, how have you become even younger? And then the lady of the house, just in one simple saying, she is already happy. And so instead of giving the cold food, she would give the hot meal. And instead of just giving the hot rice, she also gives soup, and she even remembers the rice cake. And if they want to greet her one more time, they say, come back again next time. But the Gyeongsang's people, they cannot eat well. And also, this area, people sing very well, and even the speeches like the rice cake, it sticks very well. Well, when I was living in Korea Hwam Monastery, when I hear the ladies talking, it was just like listening to a musical. When they were talking themselves, they say, well, the tea is really good this year. It's really good, yes. Wow, the tea was very tasty. Well, the rhythm of their speeches, the emotional and the sensuous speeches, you can hear them, and even the sound of E, yes, it also has a very ultimate, like optimistic sense, and it also like the note also goes up. So well, even for the beggars, they need to sing once. Then only they would eat. They would get the hot meal instead of the cold meal. Even for things as petty as that, as small as that, we are bound to open the door to our virtues or our luck. So it should apply the same when you're educating your children, whether you're eating a meal or whether you are going to the restaurant. Well, when I go to restaurants, sometimes I feel very embarrassed, even when you are ordering some meal, when there isn't, well, it's average to say, well, can I get some, like, there's no enough side dish, and there's also some people who say, hey, there is no side dish, keep some more, and those kind of people, they get like, it's very difficult to like have a proper like common life. And also there are some people that are like, you should have put a lot, why is it only less, why are you making me call you again, and that kind of, there are also people like that. And so when I say, oh, don't say like that, it was so tasty and I ate all, it's, well, it's not my fault, but it's because you made it so tasty. And then even when they go to take it, they could also have the thought that, well, they said it's tasty, and when they bring it, they also bring a lot, and also together with the food, they also have the sense of gratitude. And so there, even if it's just a dish, there is a dish that causes a diarrhea, and there's also the dish that causes a good digestion. If you make statement like this restaurant is very stingy, doesn't give a lot, and even when they're putting the food, they also put bad energies. It has a different it causes different emotional reaction. So while living, even to your children, sitting on the table, the kids who are not grateful to the parents who gives them hot meal, they are very virtueless people. Later, they could grow out of their luck, so that it also becomes difficult for them to open the door to their happiness. You understand? That's why bringing up children. What I mean is this. Nowadays, they talk about the elections in Korea, and they discuss about the political and also economic policy, and they have to use this kind of policy in here, and the GDPs and everything that flows inside depends on whether you accumulate merit or not. Well, if you have accumulated merit, then you also get the merits. But if you don't accumulate merits, then you also have no merits being developed. If you don't build up children in the right way, although you discuss about the improvement in economy, but without sense of gratitude and selfishness, and without the thought of being generosity, if you are only being selfish, then there will be no much improvement. Well, momentarily or temporarily, we could have money, but we also had IMF. Remember, it will fly off, it will disappear all of a sudden. This is a matter of our luck and also our merit. It's a problem of our inherent personality. So you need the sense of the compassion, and also with the means of the 6 parameters, if we develop them, and the thought of our self-development expands, and if we get used to it, then in this life, the life that we live right now, that person, even in the life that we live right now, the person becomes someone special. The person becomes someone special. Everyone would be praising that person, and although it is not done in with the intention of being praised, everyone will think that the person is a really nice person. If you live your life in a selfish way, later your children or their children will not even come to see them. Well, my father had always had an affair, and he would always fight with mother, and he would break everything in the house and just walk out. And they would just think that, oh, my dad died, and they don't even go. They don't even come to visit. He would come when they're so selfish. The mother? The mother also goes somewhere else, meeting other men after the dad died, and the son lived like a poor orphan. This is not the problem of having the children or not, but it's a matter of was I able to sacrifice for the sake of the children. But it is not the problem of giving birth or not. You understand? So in this life, if you have altruism, then you already become someone special. Well, once I asked Dalai Lama this, because people keep asking me, and although my thoughts has already been organized, because people keep asking me to ask him that open the chakra and practice the diamond vehicle. And so I asked him how to practice the chakra and is it necessary, and he said no. The answer was very clear. Develop the sense of bodhisattva for all sentient beings, and if the person becomes good person, then it opens naturally. The reason why all chakras close is because of the evilness. Even if you have opened it by force, if your heart becomes evil, then it closes naturally. And although you have opened the chakra, if you push for it too much, then you yourself will suffer. When the energy flows, the concentration is very strong. So well, the person who concentrates with the energy, if the person gathers all his energy at the fist, and if they punch someone, then the other person could die. So the boxers or the fighters, they're also very dangerous people. So they practice all the time, and when you're boxing, you hit in an instant. When we look at it, when you see the boxing match, where the punch that has the energy, it follows up the punch, different punches, and we also see where the energy lies at the time. And the practice of putting the energy in their fist, gathering the energy in their fist, they practice it for 10 to 15 years. And so is a person who practices the gathering of the energy. People who are not calm, people who have not developed a sense of containing their energy. If someone who hasn't practiced his compassion, and if he punches someone all of a sudden, then the energy could also burst through the head. And so when you perform good virtues, the chakra will open naturally. When we say the energy has been blocked, well, is there also a song like that? Well, I don't know. Whatever it is, when energy blocks, where we have 360 energy doors, when the energy doors of 360 doors close, when we do acupuncture, all the acupunctures are done in the energy doors, stimulate this area, and then it opens the door to the next. And so the acupunctures are laid on the accurate points to open the door. But when that door closes or gets blocked, most of the time it blocks because of 360 wrong thoughts. Normally, when we because of the sense of blame, there are also times resentment. Sometimes we feel very blocked, and it stops the door of the hurt. That's why when you're very sad, you feel very heavy at hurt. And if you are very angry, it closes the door at the top of the head. And when you have like migraine, you also have pain at the backside of the ears. That's because you're angry. And the reason why we have headaches when you are angry is because of that. So normally when we have great appetite, and do you know where it blocks? When you have a lot of appetite, when you have a strong appetite, it stops the stomach. You know this area, both hands, this is that acupuncture area, and also between the thumb and the second toe. So press it now, and if it hurts, your energy has also been blocked. Well, you cannot say it hurts, but when you press it, you feel that it hurts, right? A little. It hurts a little, but then if it hurts until you scream, then your energy has been blocked. And why is that so? Maybe because of the food that you ate, or your digestion is also not very proper. And also, when you hate someone a lot, or when you are afraid of someone, or if you wish to run away, if your husband hits you, beats you, and if you want to run away, where would it hurt the most? Under the knee. Under the knee. Why is it so? Because you have to run away, but you cannot run away. If you are very afraid, your legs they tremble. You tremble, and the energy goes down to your legs. That means run away. All of a sudden, the energy, the blood will flow down your leg, and that's encouraging you to run away. And those people, they have a lot of fears. Those people who has a lot of fears, when you have fears, just touch the below the part of your knee and see how it works. And so, if you have the natural sense of goodness, if we also cultivate the sense of bodhisattva and compassion, and if we also practice the six paramita, then even the energy doors, they will open. Do not do many things to open the door, but getting your heart straight, that is the beginning of everything. if you are greedy and if you're filled with greediness, and then even if you're stretching your legs or even if you're doing many different exercise, that's all very vain. But it could also help if you heard this doing different actions. But if you're only doing that and when you're not doing anything else, then it doesn't really help. And also, if you have a great sense of anger, then the back of your head it gets blocked. Either this part which is protruding at the back of your head, about 1 millimeter below, there's a place where it's inside. This gets blocked, and then if you get angry, then your back of the head it feels very heavy. Where in the Western medicine they say it's because of the pressure, and the pressure went up because of the anger. That's because everything got stuck here, it doesn't come down, and that's because the energy circulation has not been done properly. Then normally when there is a drama and when someone annoys the other person, they hold on to they touch the back of the head and say, my head hurts. In this life, there is no need to have the suspicion, but you can live in a beautiful way. If you live in the form of the Bodhisattva, that's the most beautiful way of living. Well, someone like Avalokitesvara, because they have done, well, they look as if they are very far, but they are not very far. In reality, they have also done their practice like how we do now, and they have become where they stand now. We can become special like that. Then, in the dream, you can meet the bodhisattvas, and we say this is the blessing in the dream. That you start seeing the bodhisattva in your dream. The blessings. There are times when you see those bodhisattvas in your dream. Well, someone also said, when you see me in your dream, that is not the blessing. So meeting the bodhisattvas in their dream, and if you do your practice a little more, then you can also see them even when you're not in your dream. The